Hey everybody, it's Lynn Liaz, and I have a few items of importance to do with Bible prophecy. And you see here on the screen, it says chance of major quakes as new coronal hole on the sun turns to face Earth. You might ask, well, what do earthquakes have to do with end times Bible prophecy? Well, Bible prophecy specifically describes earthquakes. It talks about the earth shaking and trembling in the end times. There are many verses in the book of Revelation specifically to do with earthquakes. Let me just go ahead and show you real quick before we move on with this article. It says here how the tribulation begins. The Great Tribulation will begin suddenly. It will begin with a global earthquake that effectively disrupts the activities of the whole world. Revelation 8:5, let me share that verse with you. Then the angel took the censer and filled it with fire from the altar and threw it on the earth. And there were peals of thunder, rumblings, flashes of lightning, and an earthquake. So you can see one example right there. God has a few things to say to the human race, and he intends to arrest the attention of the world with a massive earthquake that literally stops everything and everyone in their tracks. Now, we know that earthquakes all throughout the Bible are a sign of God's judgment on the earth. So that's one example there. Another one, the book of Revelation predicts there will be a total of 4 global earthquakes. And you can find that in Revelation 8:5, 11:13, 11:19, and 16:18. These earthquakes will increasingly rip up the surface of the world and the infrastructures of travel, communication, and manufacturing will collapse during the Great Tribulation. These earthquakes have no equal in recorded history. Each earthquake will have greater strength than the one before it. The final earthquake will be so violent that it will literally move all the mountains and islands from their places. Revelation 16:20. And every island fled away, and no mountains were to be found. Revelation 6:14. The sky vanished like a scroll that is being rolled up, and every mountain and island was removed from its place. So you can see some examples there of earthquakes and prophecy. Back to the article here. Chance of major quakes as new coronal hole on the sun turns to face the earth. As a large coronal hole on the sun moves away from facing the earth, another large one is turning to face us. Therefore, we could be in for more large quakes in the coming days. Coronal holes are considered by some experts to be the primary earthquake factor. Look for the dark patches on our sun, which indicate that the interplanetary magnetic fields connecting Earth to the sun may be about to experience significant fluctuations of energy. Spaceweather.com reports, a coronal hole has opened in the sun's atmosphere, and it is spewing a stream of solar wind into space. An extreme ultraviolet telescope on board NASA's Solar Dynamics Observatory photographed the structure turning to face Earth on January the 23rd. This is a coronal hole, a region in the sun's atmosphere where the magnetic field opens up and allows solar wind to escape. A gaseous stream emerging from this coronal hole should reach Earth on or about January the 27th. Arctic sky watchers, mark your calendars. Auroras are in the offing later this week. According to Ben Davidson of QuakeWatch.net, the occurrence of geomagnetic storms appears to have a depressive effect on earthquakes during the peak of the storms. Often the primary risk window begins when a coronal hole begins facing Earth and ends when geomagnetic storms occur or when the coronal hole leaves the Earth facing half of the sun. So will this coronal hole lead to some catastrophic earthquakes or any earthquakes at all? Only time will tell. However, given all of the prophetic events that are unfolding daily on this earth, it certainly is worth mentioning. Next, the demon voice that can control your smartphone. Researchers have created creepy sounds that are unintelligible to humans, but still capable of talking to phones, digital assistants. The article says, what if there was a way to talk to phones with sounds other than words, unless the phone's owners were prompted for confirmation and realized what was going on in time to intervene? They would have no idea that anything was being texted on their behalf. Turns out there's a gap between the kinds of sounds that people and computers understand as human speech. Last summer, a group of PhD candidates at Georgetown and Berkeley exploited that gap. They developed a way to create voice commands that computers can parse. But that sounds like meaningless noise to humans. These hidden voice commands, as the researchers called them, can deliver a message to Google Assistant-enabled Android phones nearby through bursts of what sounds like scratchy static. For the commands to work, the speaker that broadcasts them has to be nearby. The researchers found that commands became ineffective at a distance of about 12 feet. But that doesn't mean someone has to be conspicuously close to a device for their hidden command attack to succeed. A message could be encoded into the background of a popular YouTube video, for example, or broadcast on the radio or TV. So there's new ways that your phone can be hacked and people can get into your phone and tell your phone what to do, including messaging people, like texting them, or doing things in your bank account you don't want done, or at the worst, taking over your entire phone. So this is really serious and something I wanted to mention to you that I saw in the news. Right here on the Daily Mail, it says, hack can embed hidden voice commands in YouTube videos. Test shows Android 10 feet away from speaker playing malicious commands. Commands sound demonic and are rarely understood by humans. Can make phone calls, take pictures, transfer money, and more, and can make Assistant download malware to control the entire smartphone. So if you want to read more about that, I will place a link in my video, but I wanted to mention this to you in case you had not heard of it. Now let me share some other things with you. Right here, I saw this and found it pretty interesting. It says, Pentagon pursues locust drone swarm technology. And it asks the question, is it a precursor to Revelation 9? Now let's look at Revelation 9. It says, the shape of the locust was like horses prepared for battle. On their heads were crowns of something like gold, and their faces were like the faces of men. They had hair like woman's hair, and their teeth were like lion's teeth. And they had breastplates like breastplates of iron, and the sound of their wings was like the sound of chariots with many horses running into battle. They had tails like scorpions, and there were stings in their tails. Their power was to hurt men 5 months. And they had as king over them the angel of the bottomless pit, whose name in Hebrew is Abaddon, but in Greek he has the name Apollyon. So let's look at the article again. You can see pictures of them here. It says the Pentagon continued its quest to unleash a 21st century version of Locust on its adversaries this week after another successful test of drone swarm technology was completed using 103 Perdex micro drones. This large-scale drone army is made possible by advancements in artificial intelligence, which allows groups of robots to act together to demonstrate advanced swarm behaviors, such as collective decision-making, adaptive formation flying, and self-healing. Perdex are not pre-programmed synchronized individuals. They are a collective organism sharing one distributed brain for decision-making and adapting to each other like swarms in nature, said William Roper, director of the Pentagon Strategic Capabilities Office. Because every Perdex communicates and collaborates with every other Perdex, the swarm has no leader and can gracefully adapt to drones entering or exiting the team. Such drone swarms could change the face of modern warfare, and some prophecy watchers find both the technology and the name of the U.S. naval program behind it perhaps more than a coincidence. A few months ago, the U.S. Navy also demonstrated its low-cost UAV swarming technology, Locust, program by putting 30 drones flying together in perfect formation. These drones are launched from a special tube in less than a minute to create a vicious swarm designed to overwhelm an adversary autonomously. What makes the swarm unique is that any hostile aircraft, manned or unmanned, can be brought down by a single missile, but a swarm can take multiple hits and keep going. The drones are self-reconfiguring so that if one drone gets taken out, the others autonomously change their behavior to complete the mission. Several test simulations by the Navy have shown that drone swarms are consistently able to get past ship defenses that are geared toward shooting down single planes. This weakness means it makes sense to attack an enemy ship with a large number of cheap drones rather than one missile costing the same. Ironically, the best counter to drone swarm attacks being studied is a defensive drone swarm that can intercept the offensive ones. Now, the article goes on about how they're used in warfare, and it says experts predict that as drone swarm techniques are perfected, they will expand both in number and use. The Office of Naval Research has already experimented with a swarming configuration of 13 robotic boats on Virginia's James River. The boats were able to perform a variety of tasks to protect a high-value ship from incoming craft. Now, why are prophecy watchers interested in this? Well, it says some prophecy watchers find it interesting that the Bible describes locust-type creatures that play a significant role in end-time conflict. Revelation 9 describes them this way, and I already read that verse to you. It was Revelation 9, 7 through 11. What on earth was the Apostle John talking about? Exactly what kind of locust did he witness on the Isle of Patmos, where he received these prophetic revelations? Now, something important to remember, when you take John the Revelator, he saw things that God showed him, but how would you describe something you had never before seen that was completely foreign to you? And that's oftentimes one of the things that can make the book of Revelations or any prophetic book somewhat confusing, because they're trying to describe things that they had never seen. How would they describe a car? Back in John the Revelator's day, how would they describe a helicopter? How would they describe drones, airplanes, and so forth? So that can be one reason why prophecy can oftentimes be confusing. So did John see these drones? Was he seeing a literal demonic entity? Nobody knows. People speculate on different things to do with this. They have different ideas and opinions, but it hasn't happened. So in reality, we don't really know. The article even mentions here the revelations were given to him about 2,000 years ago, when there would have been no way for him to properly describe the 21st century technological inventions that would follow many centuries later. Is it possible John was describing some type of technology in our day similar to the locust program? As I just said, I guess we'll find out. And here are some more articles on that. Military.com, Navy to demo swarming drones at sea in July. And another one, watch the Navy's Locust launcher fire off a swarm of autonomous drones. And you can see the GIF image there. So that is definitely worth mentioning. Who knows? However, it is uncanny that it is called the Locust program. So very interesting. Now we're on prophecy in the news. It says a 2-state solution is a 3-state problem. This was written January the 15th, the very day that the kings of the earth met in Paris to go over that and make a decision. It says that they have taken their stand against God's holy mountain, Jerusalem. They want to give Judea and Samaria, which is the West Bank, and East Jerusalem, including the Western Wall and Temple Mount, to the so-called Palestinians in hopes of creating a 2-state solution. However, what people don't seem to know is that there already is a Palestinian state for Arabs that was recently created, and it is called Jordan. Here's a little history in 8 quick bullets. It says the word Palestine comes not from the Arabs, but the Romans. The Roman Emperor Hadrian changed the name from Judea to Palestine in 135 AD to erase the Jewishness of the land. He also exiled as many Jews as he could. He didn't want more rebellions, and this was his solution. He sought to erase all evidence of Judaism from the Jewish nation. Point number 2. Before World War I, the border of Palestine was not only lands west of the Jordan River, what we now call Israel, but lands east of the Jordan as well, all of modern-day Jordan and Israel. Point number 3. Great Britain took control of this land in 1917 after the Turks were defeated in World War I. They told the Jews in writing that their aim was to create a Jewish homeland in Palestine. This document is known as the Balfour Declaration. Point number 4. In 1920, the San Remo Conference, the legal body made up of the victors of World War I, assembled to decide how to administrate lands taken from the Ottoman Empire, or Turkey. This group embraced the Balfour Declaration, giving the establishment of a Jewish homeland in historic Palestine international legal backing. Point number 5. However, in 1921, Great Britain gave up nearly 80% of historic Palestine as a gesture to the Arabs and created Transjordan, which would become Jordan. In addition, they officially removed this area from the land formerly promised for the establishment of a Jewish state. And if they had to revise their commitment to the Jewish people, then it can be established that they had originally planned to allow Jewish settlement on both sides of the Jordan River. Point number 6. Now, understand, there had never been a nation called Jordan or Transjordan in the past. This was a brand new nation for Palestinian Arabs living in the east bank of the Jordan. Which brings us to point number 7. Therefore, to take more land that was promised legally for Jewish settlement and create another Palestinian Arab state would be, in fact, a third state in the region, 2 of which are for Palestinian Arabs and 1 for Palestinian Jews. And finally, point number 8, you may be surprised that I just used the term Palestinian Jews, but that was the term given to anyone living in historic Palestine, Jew, Arab, or Christian. In fact, the Jewish-owned newspaper in Jerusalem was called the Palestine Post. There was no Arab nationally connected to the word, nor has there ever been an Arab nation called Palestine. And then they have the document here, but I don't think we can blow it up to see it well enough. They even have something from the Palestine Post to show you there was a Palestine Post. The State of Israel is born as the headline. So when the nations of the world seek to divide up the promised land, creating an Arab nation on the west bank of the Jordan, understand it is not a 2-state solution, but a 3-state problem. What is worse is that the leadership of the Palestinians is utterly corrupt, robbing the people and stealing international aid money. Islamic terror groups would seize power very quickly, even as they already have in Gaza. While on the one hand the West fights ISIS, they want to create another state of Islamic radicals. Israel embraces democratic ideals, human rights, and a robust economy. But the nations want to create a nation that will soon be another Islamic totalitarian state. Israel floods the world with technological and medical breakthroughs, while the Islamic states teach their children hate and murder. Do we really need another state like this? Despite it all, we stand in Israel knowing that the same God who rebirthed Israel out of the ashes of the Holocaust and has given us victory in every attack against us since will continue to watch over us. That article is written by Ron Canton, messiahsmandate.org, and it was posted on the Prophecy in the News website. I will post a link to it below my video on YouTube. Here's another one. Edward Snowden tweet hints that the NSA can access your secret thoughts and feelings. Telepathy? It says, as most of you know, Edward Snowden is the former intelligence contractor who leaked the NSA's mass surveillance program and discovered some of the most solid evidence for the existence of clandestine black budget operations. But did we really need the leak in order to believe this? Prior to his leaks, the issue was still considered a conspiracy theory, but many, despite the fact that there was still good evidence for these programs prior to Snowden's revelations. The United States has a history of government agencies existing in secret for years. The NSA, or National Security Agency, was founded in 1952, but its existence was hidden until the mid-1960s. Even more secretive is the National Reconnaissance Office, which was founded in 1960 but remained completely secret for 30 years. Today, there are still a number of issues that hold the stigma of conspiracy theory, despite the fact that we have some very credible sources that have revealed some intriguing facts. And one of these issues falls into the realm of parapsychology, the study of phenomena ranging from mental telepathy, clairvoyance, or psychokinesis, remote viewing, and much more. I'm sure many of you have heard of our government engaging in such activities. And if you saw my recent video upload with Paul Begley, who had the NSA contact him not just once, but 3 times, including earlier this month, and threaten him, well, this isn't so hard to believe.
He explained to us how many different ways they could come in and kill us. And that the government would not hesitate to do that. So it was a very intense 2 hours, I can tell you.
The New York Times, minus context, tweeted, "Remember, the people don't have access to your secret thoughts and feelings." And Edward Snowden tweeted, well, most people. Now, Snowden could have simply been implying the NSA is capable of collecting so much data on so many people they can determine your thoughts, your next move, how you think, and what you feel. They probably have systems and algorithms in place to make predictions about this based on your online activity and more. On the other hand, he could have also been implying that yes, these people do actually have the ability to, if need be, read your mind. So I will also place a link to that. There's much more details, but that will be placed below my video. So be sure and check out this article. Now, breaking Israel news, watch. Palestinian official admits state in West Bank is just a precursor to taking over Israel. The establishment of a Palestinian state in the West Bank is only a pretext for Palestinians to take over all of Israel, said an official with Mahmoud Abbas' political party Fatah. Azam al-Ahmad, a Fatah Central Committee member, told an interviewer on official Palestinian Authority state TV that a Palestinian state would simply be a stepping stone to a Vietnam-style conquest in which Palestine would swallow up the entire country of Israel. In a video clip translated by Palestinian Media Watch, al-Ahmad described a PA plan to agree to a state on territory that is 22% and perhaps less of the land of historical Palestine, and then eventually take over the territory it was not granted, which would return my historical rights to me in full. He pointed to historical precedent as a support for the plan. North Vietnam's bloody 20-year war to capture South Vietnam and unite both states under one name. North Vietnam. There was a North and the South. What is the name now? Vietnam, he declared. Okay, so I will also place a link to this article below my video. You need to read the whole thing and get the whole feel of what they're talking about. So that's it for today. I wanted to share this with you and hope that you're all praying and being watchful. I know there are a lot of people out there feeling like it's okay to go back to sleep, or that we have peace and everything's going to be great for a time and we've been given extra time by God because of Donald Trump. And that's all well and good, but I'm just not feeling it. Jesus gave us specific things to watch for. This nation has not repented, no matter what Donald Trump does. This nation has not repented. I don't see abortions stopping. I don't see all the crimes that are being committed across this nation. I don't see the hatred for God that is going on, the widespread pornography and addictions and just all sorts of things that are going on, the mockery of God, the homosexual agenda. I'm not seeing those things change. I don't see this nation and our government as a whole repenting. And there's a heaviness and a heavy burden on my spirit that something big is going to happen very soon. And I just encourage you to stay close to Jesus Christ. Be prayerful, be watchful. Do not go back to sleep. Hide yourself in Jesus Christ because Jesus is coming soon. Thanks, and God bless you.